There are so many reasons in this world to be grateful. I've already spoken about this at other times, but I think it merits to be repeated. When our ancestors were in the desert, there was something called manna that came from above every morning. Together with the dew, they found a certain kind of food. Exactly what it is, I'm not too sure. But that served them during their 40 years in the desert in order not to die of hunger. Let us remember there are no vegetables in the desert, there are no animals around. How do you survive in such a hostile environment? And our ancestors did it for 40 years because of this manna that came from heaven every morning. And our rabbis tell us that the manna came every day except for the Sabbath. On Saturday, there was no manna, but on Friday, there was a double portion. Actually, if any day of the week you saved some of the manna, it would rot at the end of the day. You couldn't save it for the following day. Every day you had to receive fresh manna, except for this Friday when there was a double portion. And this is why on the table for Sabbath meal, we have 2 chalot, 2 breads, because a double portion of manna fell from heaven on Friday, sufficient for Saturday as well. I can imagine our ancestors in the desert when they were claiming for food, and here there was something that sustained them, so it was miraculous at every day. They must have felt excitement, awe the first day that they found it, the second day, the third day. But after a while, after a month, do you think there was the same excitement in finding the manna that came from heaven? Maybe it became something that belongs to you. The government owes you that. God owes you that. He has to provide you every day with manna. That's his job. That's his duty. And you stop having this excitement, this awe, and eventually maybe the gratefulness for what you are receiving really. So I say there are many reasons why we have to be grateful. I was born in a little village in Poland. I must have mentioned it to you plenty of times. We had no electricity. There was no running water. And what all that implies, I don't want to go into it. And when I was about 4 years old, a little over 4 years old, my parents migrated to South America, to Lima, Peru. Lima was the capital. It's not the United States, but it was the Western world. There were buses, there were trolley cars. You went into the kitchen, opened up the faucet, and water came out. You switched a switch in the dining room and light came on. It was altogether different. It was a tremendous transition. But yet remember that even in the little villages, time was equal for everybody, just as in Lima, Peru. You could study, you could do many things there also. And of course, you have to be grateful for what civilization has brought for us. There's a holiday called Hanukkah. And that holiday, we commemorate the victory of the Maccabees against the Syrian that occupied in those days and wanted to Hellenize the entire world. But we Jews did not accept that, and we rebelled, and eventually we expelled the Syrians from the Holy Temple in Jerusalem, and we commemorate the rededication of the temple, Beit HaMikdash in Hebrew, every year in the holiday of Hanukkah, because a miracle occurred. What happened? There was only one little crucible of oil for the menorah, which is the candelabra that was lit every day in the Beit HaMikdash, in the temple. And it would take 8 days to provide new oil. But they found one little crucible that was enough for 1 day, and a miracle occurred that the oil lasted for 8 days. Sufficient time to produce new oil. So our rabbis ordered that every night we should light candles in our homes to commemorate that miracle. So there are 2 opinions. The one we follow is the first night you light 1 candle, the second night 2 candles, and you end up with 8 candles. And there's another opinion that says the other way around, The first night you light 8, second night 7, then 6, until you reach 1. But we follow the rule that we go up in holy matters and we don't descend. We do more. What is the reasoning behind those that say you should light 8 candles? Maybe it is that the first night was a great miracle. The second night, great miracle. The third night. But as each day passed, the miracle became less and less. There was less excitement about it because it already happened. So what I'm telling you is, stop thinking that things really belong to you. There are miracles every day. You know, there are birds that fly from one continent, I think, to another, hundreds of miles yearly, according to what the season of the year it is. They have some kind of magnetism that allows them to find the north. There's a leader that takes them in the right direction. And they fly for months, moving their wings constantly. Have you tried moving your arms constantly for a while? Maybe you can do it for 5 minutes, maybe you can do it for 10, maybe you can do it for an hour. I don't know, I've never tried it really, but I don't think you could do it for months. And yet here there are birds that are able to do it. What a miracle that is. But, you know, we have a muscle inside called the heart. The heart beats constantly. If it stops beating, that's the end. It beats for years, for decades. It beats without getting tired. Look at the miracle that the human being is. You can recognize another person. You take one look at him, you know who he is. You can recognize his voice. There's so many things. How many things have to happen for you to be able to think things, to have consciousness of this world, of your existence, of love, of so many things, of appreciation of music, of drama. So many things have to occur. You know, we have to be enormously grateful for what we have. Of course, there are some, they have a private jet. He has a yacht, an enormous yacht. You don't have it, but you have so many other things that are really wonderful. Maybe nowadays it takes 2 people to maintain a home. Husband and wife both have to work in order to have, look at all the things we have. Who doesn't have a personal phone? I remember when we arrived in Lima, Peru, we did not have a phone. It took us several years before we acquired. We were on a list to acquire a phone. And it was very important because my father was a rabbi, to have a phone to be able to communicate with people. Nowadays, every member of the family has his own phone. And it's a tremendous thing. It does many are the intelligent phones that connect you to the internet. So many. We live in an extraordinary age. There are so many things that we can do. So be grateful to God. Be grateful to your parents. Be grateful that you exist in such a wonderful world as it is today. There are others that have other things, but I have a lot. Think about what you have. Concentrate on that. You'll be very grateful that your heart continues ticking every day.